Good morning. Worked all weekend. Pretty uneventful, to be honest, which is good. That's a good thing. Not going to really say much about work. Kind of nervous about, they posted something at work about social media and all this. I don't tell any specifics or anything, but it makes me a little nervous. I don't want to say much, but I'll just say this: not a lot going on, and I'll just leave it there. Um, not for me anyway, which is lucky. So I had a thought after meditation the other day about intention and how important intention is. And intention to me, this is what I kind of think it is. Intention is kind of the higher self, the more expanded. I call it the heart mind. It's the mind of the heart. So we have our mental mind, which is the small ego mind, and the heart mind is like way bigger. It's just way more advanced. It's super smooth and super it's just super slick. It just operates very subtly but very powerfully. And that's what I that's what I kind of think of intention as being. It's not something that you're not sitting there trying to manifest something. It's not like this new agey concept of manifesting your reality. And you know I used to listen to Abraham. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's like a this lady named Esther Hicks, and she channeled this um, group. It wasn't just one person, but she channeled this group called Abraham. And I'm not knocking it. It was real interesting, and a lot of people got a lot of really good information from it. But she would talk about, how to manifest things, which I think is very valuable, very valuable. And I think that we are supposed to be manifesting our reality. We're supposed to be co-creating with God. That I do believe. But I believe that we got to clean up our house first. Um, we got to clean up our stuff before we can be a good partner. And it's kind of like any relationship. If you bring a bunch of uh, garbage into your relationship, you're going to have a garbage relationship. And you need to do some housework and some house cleaning, and find a path, find something that gives you the support so that you can do the cleaning process that you need to do. Whatever, however you find that, whether it's with heartfulness, whether it's with transcendental meditation, whether it's with any. There's so many things out there. Just get started doing something. Make a positive move in the right direction, and ask God, pray to God, say, God, please show me the way for me, because everybody's way is specific. It's different. This is something I guess I couldn't stress enough, is you would say that everybody's path is different. This is why I have a real hard time falling into this kind of a group consciousness, is because it's so easy to get into this mindset that it's my way or the highway. We know the truth. We know reality. We've got the perfect way, the perfect path. Well, it's individual still. Anyway, I've talked a lot about that in other videos, so I won't keep going with that. But anyway, intention is, in my opinion, my humblest of opinions, it is the heart mind speaking. So we can become, through our practice, become more attuned to this heart mind. And to me, when I think of it, it's just very subtle. So you could have a thought and you just let it go. It's very subtle. You're not um, attaching yourself to it. There's no ego attached to it. It's just, it's like pure love just being sent out. And your intention could be love. Okay, I intend to be more loving. I intend to be more peaceful. I intend to be more whatever. I intend to be nothing. I intend to be a receiver. I intend to be, you know, whatever you want, whatever you think you need. I intend to be purified. I intend to be, um, and just let it go. Just let that go. Don't attach anything to it. And that is using that super consciousness. And, I think people who meditate get a taste of that super consciousness. Um, some people call it, higher self. Some people call it God consciousness, cosmic consciousness. I don't know. For me, it just feels like um, it's something very expanded in nature, very expanded. So I don't know um, really anything other than that. I was just going to mention it because to me it seems very important, and maybe you guys can comment about it and let me know what you think. But I think that's kind of one of the purposes of being here, and part of being a co-creator is to have intention and set your intention. So what can throw us off from that? Let's look and see what can throw us off from having this intention. Well, getting caught in dogmatic thinking can throw us off of intention. Oh, it's my way or the highway. It has to be done this way because I say so, or this person said so, or this guru said so. So it has to be done this certain way. That can throw us off from having clear intention. Um, it's like an artist. We're basically like we have to look at ourselves kind of like we're artists, okay? There's a certain amount of training an artist has to go through to become proficient. They have to learn the different mediums. They have to learn how to work with watercolors. They have to learn to work with oils. They have to learn to work with pastels. There's certain technical aspects, okay, that you have to learn to be an artist. I mean, but once you learn those technical aspects and master those, then the creativity can flow through you. You can be more spontaneous. You can get outside of the box. I mean, if you look at great artists, great painters, they were Renaissance people. They were not caught in a certain genre. They stepped out and made their own. They created their own. You know, all these great artists that created something new. They created something bold and new. And we're here to do that. We're absolutely here to do that. And what I see happening is there is a huge quest to divert us from that path. Everything in our system has been designed to divert us from that. And as you become more awake and more aware and more conscious, it becomes more and more obvious that that's the case. Now, what do we do? Do we claim victimhood? Do we sit there and go, "Oh, I've been sabotaged. Oh, I can't do anything. Poor me." Well, we could do that, but where's that going to get you? Where's that going to what's the end? What's the end game of that? Suffering, misery, self-loathing. I mean, that's not the path. That's not the path I want to take. Or we could say these vicissitudes of life, this system control that's been used against us to enslave us, is one of the greatest gifts of all time. I remember I read. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Carlos Castaneda. He wrote some really cool books. Uh, he had this character named Don Juan, and Don Juan was a seer. So he was this Indian. I can't remember what kind of Indian he was, but they were like in the Southwest and Mexico area. And this guy was, he was an advanced spiritual guy, but he had actually been put into slavery and put into bondage. Someone actually made him a slave. Don Juan had been a slave for a while, basically. And but he was such an advanced soul that he used that as an opportunity to develop himself and to grow and to become more advanced and more spiritualized with that experience. Instead of falling into victimhood, he said, he used it to grow and become better. I mean, my God, that's amazing. You know, I'm not saying that people who've had horrible things happen to them should just be, spiritually enlightened from it. I'm not saying that. But the people who you look at who, grow up in abuse and grow up in neglect and have all this horrible stuff happen to them, and they rise above it and they become really amazing people, leaders and more advanced and better in spite of it. It's pretty awesome. Well, I think we're being given that opportunity right now. There's so much stuff going on right now. And if we can just see what's going on and ask for clarity, ask God for clarity. Because right now, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm confused as hell. This COVID thing and the economy crashing, and I mean, I've been doing Twitter for a couple years, well, since right before 2016 election. And I mean, these people are all over the place on that thing. I mean, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories and all this stuff going on. And, I mean, you get the whole gamut from, oh, Trump's going to save us to Trump's going to end us. You get just a crazy amount of stuff. And it's very confusing time right now. And I started kind of feeling down. Um, a little bit. Part of it's because I was at work and you get tired and um, you know it's easy to get pulled down a little bit when you're in that kind of position. But there's so much, just so much noise out there, and so again, this is an awesome, awesome opportunity for us to go. Okay, I'm confused. I'm looking out here at the world, and I'm getting everything. I mean, they're throwing the kitchen sink at us right now. They're I mean, just the statistics for this COVID stuff are crazy. I mean, who knows what to believe, who to believe. I mean, they're saying they've got all these cases. I saw one thing where they were saying that the tests don't test for the COVID specifically, they test for the coronavirus, which is a common cold and flu virus. So you could have coronavirus and not have COVID-19. That's what I heard on one of my things. I've heard that from a couple sources. If that's the case, then that's crazy, right? I mean, that changes everything. These numbers don't mean anything, and then you've got people going around saying that it's all a big hoax, that this isn't really happening, that uh, the hospitals really don't have anything going on, and they're blowing this completely out of proportion to reality, and all that. I mean, it's it's hard to know what to believe. You're just not getting unbiased. It's hard to know, who do you trust. Even these people that I think are really good on YouTube and stuff like that, and people I follow, I'm still like, okay, I don't know. I don't know if I believe them. I mean, they're just pulling stuff out of their butt most of the time. They don't really know for sure at all. They don't know necessarily. I mean, they can do a lot of research. You can research a lot of stuff, and you can get a lot of information, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. There's so much fake. There's so much fakery going on, and so what that tells me is, and what I kind of had the realization of this weekend was, go inward, go inside, focus on God, focus on that connection to God, your own personal connection. Okay? That's the purpose of our path. Whether it's Like I said, whether it's heartfulness, whether it's whatever you find, whatever God brings to you, whatever God puts in front of you that speaks to you, and you can go, okay, this is something I can deal with, or you do it on your own. There's no there's no middleman. There's no middleman. You can start focusing on God. I mean, that's why we have a conscience. God gave us a conscience so that we could grow without any outside interference. I mean, if you look at Lology, who's the first, um, he's the one that developed the transmission and all that. Nobody, he didn't have a master. He didn't have a guru. He learned it on his own. He figured it out on his own, okay? Now, he's an advanced person. He was an advanced soul. I believe these advanced souls come to earth to help lift us up and, create these systems. Transcendental meditation, for example. Um, you know, these systems evolve and they serve a purpose for a certain period of time, and then something else will come along. Something else will come along that will be even better. And I'm not saying there's something better than heartfulness. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there's something better than TM. I don't know. For some people, TM is the answer. For some people, you know, praying to Jesus is the answer. For some people, it's Buddhism or whatever. Each person has, their own individual path. And I think it's really important that we set our intention for something bigger than just, you know, our little our little thing that we're in. Set our intention to something bigger and make it about healing the planet, you know, raising up to a higher level. James Gillian, he just had a really good video I listened to yesterday or this morning. I listened to it, and he's talking about how the planet is evolving. The planet is moving to a higher state of consciousness. I mean, this is something that's hard to comprehend, that the planet actually has consciousness, but it's a living entity and it's being lifted to a higher level. And he said the Earth is on the fringes of the galaxy. I mean, we're kind of out in the Wild West, and all these entities, these dark entities, have been pushed out to the farther reaches because the purification happens from the inside out. And so this central sun area, consciousness is expanding, and these lower level entities are being pushed out to the edges. Well, these lower level entities got pushed out to our level, to 3D Earth, and that's why they've been dominating, because they've been here, doing their deeds, their dastardly deeds. And our time has come to shift to the next level. So I believe that this transition is going to be very peaceful, because I believe there's been a divine mandate to set us free. A divine mandate has come to set us free. Now, you could make all kinds of arguments. You could say, no, that's not true. You could say, yes, that's true. I can't prove one way or the other. I know that when I was doing transcendental meditation, I felt that the whole goal of the transcendental meditation was to lift the consciousness of the planet. That you got these meditators who are meditating. They're in this state of transcendental consciousness. They're in that heart-mind consciousness. They didn't call it that. And from that level, you're holding that higher vibration for as long as you possibly can. And Maharishi would talk about having groups of meditators, and these groups of meditators would be able to shift consciousness just from sitting and meditating all day. And it sounded really, really nice, right? What a great way to do things, instead of, going out and going to war with people and forcing people to believe what you believe, and just lift the consciousness, shift the consciousness. So who's to say that that didn't pre-pave for what we're doing right now? I mean, who's to say that that didn't prepare the way? I mean, look at heartfulness. I mean, really, what is heartfulness doing? I mean, what I feel like heartfulness is doing, it's opening the heart, it's opening people up so that they can flow this godly energy through them to the planet, to our brothers and sisters on the planet. And it's just so easy to get caught up in this material aspect of everything and think there's got to be this material payoff and this material level we should be getting. This is where the New Age movement hijacked things, in my opinion, is they said, they started making it all about the material. Oh, you should have a new car, you should have a nice house, you should have all these things, you should be attracting the right mate to yourself, you should have the right, you know, and it all becomes about creating things for yourself. And on a spiritual level, I mean, let's just look at Jesus, for example. Now, whether or not Jesus is what we were told, or the story of Jesus, or whatever, if you look at it from just the big picture, Jesus was very special, highly evolved, and he was teaching people to shift to this level of heart, to this level of love, and teaching the power of love. And he performed the miracles and he did all that, but that was because he was showing people the power, that we innately have, just from the level of love, not about material life, not about you know having a bunch of material things. He was trying to shift people's consciousness from this level of physically achieving, to a level of achieving from the level of the heart. It's a big shift. It's huge. It's a huge shift. And achieving from the level of consciousness. And, you know, every master, every guru has a different level that they're teaching us from. And as a society evolves to higher levels, different teachings come in that are closer to source. You get closer and closer to source with each one. And for me, right now, heartfulness is the closest to source that I can see. Now, there could be something else that comes along. There could be a revelation I have. I mean, I don't know. But it seems to me to be the simplest, most clean path to source. And that's important because we want to evolve ourselves, evolve our heart, let it unwrap and unravel, and really shine that love out, really pump out love, pump out love. How can we become more loving? How can we become more subtle? And yet, with that subtlety comes amazing power. Amazing power. It's humbling. That's why the humility is so important, because if you just possessed these powers, you would just run people over with it. And becoming more subtle with it, more gentle, more loving, going through the vicissitudes of life, we become more sensitive to other people and their energy, and we're not just dumping on them, whether we think it's for their best interest or not. I mean, look at the conquistadors and stuff, what they did in the name of God. They went out and wiped out people, enslaved people in the name of God, right? I mean, they were doing what they thought was the highest level. And advanced spiritual beings don't do that. They never force somebody to do something. They don't usurp. They never usurp. And that's one way you can tell if something is good or not. Is it taking power, or is it giving power? You know, and that's why the dark energies, the cabal, these dark Luciferians, they are worshiping the darker side. They're worshiping to get power and control. They're praying for more power. They're doing rituals to get power, right? And a spiritualized person, that's not their goal. Their goal is to become an open conduit to love, just an open channel for love. Let the personality step aside, let the material needs step aside, and just become open, a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your identity in a way, but it's not really a sacrifice. Surrender. You're surrendering to a higher power. All right. That's about it. Probably way too much rambling. Have a good day.